There are, by the official measurement standards of Major League Baseball, exactly three numbers that define a legal bat: 2.61 inches in diameter, 42 inches in length, and one solid piece of wood. That is the entire regulation. 2.5 pages of the official rules of Major League Baseball govern the pitcher's mound slope. The bat gets a diameter, a length, and a material. This is either a sign of elegant minimalism or a bureaucratic oversight that has allowed professional athletes to spend 150 years finding creative ways to turn lumber into a competitive advantage that stops just barely short of being obvious enough to get ejected over. What follows is every significant bat in professional baseball: wood species, aluminum variants, the modifications that coaches pretend not to see, and the one that was technically illegal for an extended period of time before the league read the physics paper and updated the rulebook. The metallurgy is real. The historical consequences are real. The fact that grown men have gone to federal court over what they were allowed to hit a baseball with is also real. Number 1. The ash bat. What it is: the default setting, the baseline, the thing your grandfather called a baseball bat. White ash, Fraxinus americana, a hardwood native to the eastern United States that spent approximately a century as the unchallenged material of professional baseball bats before a fungus arrived and complicated everything. The grain runs in long parallel lines down the barrel, which gives ash its defining characteristic: it flexes on contact. When a pitched ball hits an ash bat at the sweet spot, the barrel compresses and rebounds, a trampoline effect that contributes to exit velocity in a way that is technically legal and physically measurable. Ash bats are forgiving. The wide grain spacing means that off-center hits on an ash bat produce flex rather than fracture. The barrel gives, absorbs some of the mis-hit energy, and the ball still goes somewhere useful. A maple bat hit in the same spot makes a different decision. We will get to maple. Babe Ruth used ash. Ted Williams used ash. The entire history of professional baseball through the 1990s was written with ash bats, which means every statistic you are currently using to anchor an argument about the greatest hitter of all time was produced with a piece of white ash that cost approximately $30 at wholesale and lasted, depending on the pitcher being faced, between 1 inning and 3 weeks. The problem arrived in 2002 in the form of the emerald ash borer, an invasive beetle from Asia that began killing ash trees across the northeastern United States at a rate that has since eliminated tens of millions of trees. The ash borer did not read the official rules of Major League Baseball before starting its work. By the 2010s, the supply chain for quality ash billets had degraded enough that players began migrating to alternative materials out of necessity rather than preference. The bat that built the sport is now the minority option. The emerald ash borer has contributed more to the compositional change of professional baseball equipment than any rule change in the sport's history. It is still used. It is still legal. It still flexes on contact in a way that certain hitters describe as feeling more natural than the alternative. The alternative is harder, denser, less forgiving, and currently used by approximately 75% of major league hitters. We are now discussing the alternative. Number 2. The maple bat. What it is? The bat that changed the box score and the on-field exploding debris situation. Hard maple. Acer saccharum, the same tree that produces maple syrup, which is either a comforting fact or a deeply irrelevant one. Maple is denser than ash, 44 pounds per cubic foot versus ash at 38, and the grain runs tighter, which produces a harder hitting surface with no flex on contact. The ball comes off maple differently, a cleaner, harder transfer of energy, a louder crack, a measurably higher exit velocity when the contact is centered. Barry Bonds switched to maple in the late 1990s. He then proceeded to hit 73 home runs in 2001, which remains the single-season record. This is not direct evidence of causation. This is also not evidence that nobody noticed the timing. The maple bat's proliferation through the 2000s introduced a problem that ash bats did not have: the multi-piece shatter. When an ash bat breaks, it tends to splinter along the grain in large, relatively predictable pieces. When a maple bat breaks, which happens when contact occurs on a dense-grained bat at a location outside the sweet spot, it can fragment into multiple high-velocity pieces traveling in multiple directions at the same time. A broken maple bat moving at the speed of a poorly hit baseball is not a controlled event. Multiple players, coaches, and fans have been struck by bat fragments over the last 20 years. At least one minor league game was stopped because a shattered maple bat landed in the visiting dugout in 3 separate pieces. MLB responded in 2008 with mandatory testing of bat billets, slope of grain requirements, and ink dot testing to verify grain orientation before a bat is approved for professional use. The ink dot is a quality control mechanism. The ink dot is also, aesthetically, a small round mark on a baseball bat that has never appeared in a marketing photo. Maple remains the dominant material in professional baseball. The exit velocity advantage is real. The shatter risk is managed, but not eliminated. The sound a ball comes off a maple bat in perfect contact, a sharp, resonant crack that travels to the upper deck, is the sound that has defined the sport for the last 25 years. Which is either progress or a cautionary tale about optimizing for performance without fully modeling the failure modes. Number 3. The Birch Bat. What it is? The compromise nobody asked for and several people ended up preferring. Yellow birch, Betula allegheniensis. Density and hardness sitting directly between ash and maple. More durable than ash, less brittle than maple, with a slight surface flex on contact that maple does not offer. The Birch Bat appeared in professional clubhouses in the late 2000s, recommended initially to players who wanted more durability than ash and less fragmentation risk than maple, and stayed because a meaningful subset of hitters found that the combination of characteristics produced results they preferred. Birch is harder when new and requires a break-in period. The surface hardens through use, meaning the bat the player uses in the first week of the season is functionally different from the bat he uses in August. Most materials harden over time due to wear. Birch hardens due to the compressive forces of being hit repeatedly with pitched baseballs, which is its intended purpose, and this is either an engineering feature or a description of what happens to everything that gets hit enough times. Victor Martinez was an early and vocal advocate. Several pitching-oriented teams noticed their hitters switching to Birch and measured meaningfully lower broken bat rates, which reduced both the debris situation and the supply cost. The average Major League team goes through roughly 1,000 bats per season. At approximately $60 to $75 per professional-grade bat, the difference between a material that breaks at twice the rate and one that doesn't is not a philosophical question. It is a line item that someone in the front office is definitely tracking. Birch remains a minority choice, approximately 5 to 10% of hitters, depending on the year, occupying the position of the option that nobody dismisses and nobody evangelizes, which in professional baseball means it will be there indefinitely and mentioned only when someone asks specifically about it. Number 4. The aluminum bat. What it is? Everywhere except where the money is, for reasons that involve physics and insurance. Aluminum bats are legal in Little League, high school baseball, college baseball, and every amateur and semi-professional league in the United States. They are not legal in Major League Baseball, AA, AAA, or, as of 2024, Single A. Every level of professional baseball has banned the aluminum bat, and the reason is not tradition. The reason is exit velocity. A well-struck ball off a modern aluminum bat, particularly the BBCOR regulated aluminum bats used in college baseball, produces exit velocities that reach 100 to 108 miles per hour. This is comparable to Major League wood bats. This was not always the case. The aluminum bats of the 1990s and early 2000s were not BBC-OR regulated, and the exit velocities they produced were substantially higher. Studies suggested certain aluminum bats were producing 10 to 15 miles per hour more exit velocity than comparable wood bats at the same swing speed. The pitcher is standing 60 feet 6 inches from home plate. A ball hit at 115 miles per hour off an unregulated aluminum bat reaches the pitcher's head in approximately 0.37 seconds. The human reaction time for a pitcher to move off the mound after releasing a pitch is between 0.4 and 0.6 seconds. The math on this is not a math problem. It is an insurance problem, a liability problem, and somewhere lower on the priority list, a human welfare problem. Metal bats are also louder in a specific manufactured way. The ping of aluminum has become the sound associated with youth baseball across the country, even though no one who played professional baseball has ever heard it during a game. There's an entire generation of players whose formative sound memory of baseball is a sound that does not exist at the highest level of the sport they are training to reach. This is not unprecedented. It is also not discussed. Number 5. The Composite Bat. What it is: a legal bat that becomes more illegal the more you use it. Composite bats are made from layered carbon fiber, graphite, fiberglass, or some combination, with a hollow barrel construction that distributes mass differently than solid wood or aluminum. They're legal in many amateur and youth leagues, banned in others, and the reasons for the banning are interesting because the ban is not about what the bat does when it's new. Composite bats break in. The fibers in the barrel compress and relax through repeated ball contact, and this process, called rolling when it happens through use, or literally rolling when a bat is run through a mechanical roller to accelerate the process artificially, expands the sweet spot and increases the trampoline effect. A composite bat used for 500 at-bats is a materially different instrument than the same bat out of the wrapper. The more you use it, the better it gets, up to a point, and then it starts breaking down, and eventually it fails. The mechanical rolling of composite bats, running them through cylindrical rollers to compress the fibers without logging official at-bats, is illegal in essentially every sanctioned league that allows composite bats. It is also undetectable without specialized equipment, nearly invisible to the naked eye, and reportedly widespread enough that several bat testing organizations offer acoustic testing services, where they hit the bat and listen to the frequency of the sound to determine if the barrel has been artificially broken in. The bat is listening to bats with a tuning fork in a parking lot before a youth baseball tournament. This has happened. Number 6. The Corked Bat. What it is: technically illegal, measurably ineffective, and completely irresistible. A corked bat is a wood bat, usually maple or ash, in which a section of the barrel has been drilled out and filled with cork, rubber balls, sawdust, or combination, and then sealed with pine tar and sanded down until the bat looks, from the outside, like a standard bat. The modification reduces the weight of the bat, typically by 2 to 4 ounces, which increases swing speed. The physics of corking appear at first to be clearly beneficial: lighter bat, faster swing, more exit velocity. This is what hitters who cork their bats believe they are getting. The physics, examined more carefully, disagree. The reduced mass of a corked bat means that on contact, the bat gives up more momentum to the ball than a heavier bat would. The swing speed advantage does not fully compensate for the mass reduction. Studies published in the American Journal of Physics have consistently found that a corked bat either provides no statistically significant exit velocity increase or a marginal decrease compared to the unmodified bat of the same species. Hitters who cork their bats are, on the available evidence, cheating themselves. They are accepting the legal risk, the reputational risk, and the practical risk of the bat exploding during a nationally televised game and showering the infield with cork, which is exactly what happened to Sammy Sosa on June 3, 2003, in exchange for a performance benefit that the physics suggest ranges from negligible to non-existent. Sosa claimed the Corked Bat was a batting practice bat he accidentally used in a game. MLB investigators found one Corked Bat in his equipment. The Hall of Fame voters have since had 9 separate opportunities to decide what to do with this information and have, 9 times, decided the answer was no. Greg Nettles in 1974 had a bat shatter and release 6 Super Balls he had apparently stored in the barrel. He was ejected. The Yankees won the game anyway. The Super Balls, which flew across the infield when the bat broke, were collected by the grounds crew as a keepsake. The Super Ball as batting performance enhancement has not been rigorously studied.
Number 7. The Pine Tar Bat. What it is: legal, then illegal, then partially reinstated, then the subject of a federal ruling that baseball ignored. Pine tar is a thick, dark, sticky substance applied to the handles of wood bats to improve grip. It is legal. It has always been legal. The bat itself has always been legal. The question, and this is where 1983 enters the room and refuses to leave, is how far up the handle the pine tar is allowed to go. Rule 1.10c of the official baseball rules states that a bat may not be covered with pine tar more than 18 inches from the knob end. The rule exists not because pine tar provides a performance advantage beyond 18 inches, but because pine tar discolors baseballs, and the cost of replacing discolored baseballs annoyed the league enough in the 1970s to produce a regulation. On July 24, 1983, Birch Bat of the Kansas City Royals hit a 2-run home run in the top of the 9th inning against the New York Yankees to give the Royals a 5-4 lead. The Yankees manager, Billy Martin, walked to home plate and pointed out that Birch Bat had pine tar extending approximately 23 or 24 inches from the knob, 5 or 6 inches in excess of the legal limit. The umpires measured the bat. They agreed with Martin. They called Brett out, nullifying the home run, and called the game over with the Yankees winning 4-3. Birch Bat's subsequent departure from the dugout is documented in video that is still widely circulated and does not require description here. The expression on his face has never required description. The Royals protested the game to the American League. AL President Lee MacPhail upheld the protest, reinstated the home run, and ruled that the umpires had applied the rule incorrectly. The rule specified that a bat with excess pine tar should be removed from play, not that any action taken with that bat should be nullified retroactively. The game was resumed from the point of Brett's home run. The Yankees lost. Billy Martin then pointed out that Brett had not touched all the bases on his home run trot, that the protest and ejection had occurred before he completed the circuit. The umpires confirmed that the base coaches had in fact been aware that a protest was possible and had ensured Brett touched every base. The Yankees lost the resumed game 5-4. The Pine Tar Bat is in the Baseball Hall of Fame. The rule about 18 inches has not been changed.
Number 8. The Cupped Bat. What it is: an indentation in the barrel that is legal, common, and named after a person who is not in any Hall of Fame. The cupped bat features a rounded indentation, typically a 1/4 inch to 1 inch deep and up to 1 inch in diameter, carved at the end of the barrel. MLB Rule 1.10 specifically permits this modification. The cup reduces the weight at the end of the bat without reducing the hitting surface, theoretically allowing hitters to swing a slightly heavier bat for durability while maintaining a swing weight closer to a lighter bat. Jose Cardenal is generally credited with popularizing the cupped end after encountering it in Latin American leagues in the 1960s and 1970s. Cardenal had an 18-year major league career, was known as one of the more distinctive personalities in the game, once reported he could not play a game because a cricket had kept him awake all night, and is not in the Hall of Fame. His contribution to bat manufacturing is in every major league clubhouse. His Hall of Fame case is periodically discussed in niche baseball forums and goes nowhere. The cup is now so standard that a bat without one is notable. The performance benefit is disputed but not disproven. The bat looks from the end like a small bowl, which is exactly what it is, and which is apparently all that was needed to be universally adopted. Number 9. The Fungo Bat. What it is? Not for hitting pitches, not legal in games, crucial to the daily operation of baseball. The Fungo Bat is longer, lighter, and thinner than a standard bat, typically 35 to 37 inches, weighing 17 to 22 ounces, with a narrow barrel and a long handle. It is used exclusively by coaches to hit ground balls and fly balls during fielding practice. A coach tossing a ball to himself and hitting it toward a shortstop for repetitive ground ball practice needs a bat that allows for precise placement, controlled swing mechanics at reduced effort, and the ability to do it 200 times in a practice session without the shoulder falling off. A Fungo Bat used to hit a pitched ball at game speed would break immediately. It is not designed for that application. The barrel cannot absorb the impact. This has not stopped at least several players over the history of baseball from grabbing a fungo in a practice situation and discovering the hard way that the material specifications are not suggestions. The word fungo has no confirmed etymology. It predates modern baseball, appears in 19th century texts, and has been attributed variously to German, Scottish, and Latin origins by people who are guessing. The Oxford English Dictionary does not have a confident entry. The Fungo Bat has been used in organized baseball for over 150 years, and nobody knows where its name comes from. This is not unusual. Baseball's relationship with its own history involves both meticulous record-keeping and complete indifference to where words came from.
Number 10. The Juiced Bat. What it is? Technically illegal, technically undetectable, and technically why MLB started X-rayed bats in 1994. The juiced bat, in its various forms, is a hollow bat. A standard wood bat is solid. A bat that has been drilled, hollowed, filled with foreign material, or otherwise modified to alter its performance characteristics is illegal. MLB Rule 6.06d prohibits batters from using a bat that has been altered or tampered with in a manner to improve the distance factor. The specific and innovative technique that prompted MLB to begin X-raying submitted bats involves neither cork nor superballs, but mercury. A small quantity of liquid mercury placed in a hollowed barrel shifts its center of mass dynamically during the swing, moving toward the handle during the swing and toward the barrel at contact, theoretically optimizing weight distribution at the moment of impact in a way that no fixed material can. The mercury bat has never been confirmed in a major league game. It has been discussed in litigation, referenced in congressional testimony about performance-enhancing substances in baseball, and described in detail in affidavits filed in federal court in cases unrelated to baseball. Whether it exists as anything more than a very creative cheating concept, or whether it has been successfully deployed in professional games without detection, is genuinely unknown. MLB began X-raying confiscated bats in the mid-1990s. The X-rays look for hollow spaces, foreign materials, and density anomalies. The program was expanded after the Sosa incident in 2003. The existence of an X-ray program did not eliminate speculation about bat modification. It eliminated the category of bat modification that leaves physical evidence visible to X-rays, which is a narrower category than the full set of possible modifications. The physics of performance enhancement through bat modification remain an active area of baseball-adjacent research that is conducted almost exclusively by people who are not publishing in peer-reviewed journals and are instead posting in baseball analytics forums under usernames that reveal more about their team affiliations than their methodological rigor.